Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a great weekend. We had one of our first monsoon storms here in Mesa, Arizona for the summer season, which was really nice. Got a little bit of rain and cooled off by about 10 degrees. It was a little refreshing, kind of cut the humidity down, and thunderstorms, lightning, that kind of stuff going on all around the outside of the valley. Not a whole lot of it moved into the valley, but it was a nice evening for a change instead of sweating to death. So today, I got Jerone Davidson, who's going to be joining me. He hasn't responded yet. I'm confirming. Hopefully, he is going to be joining me. He is running for Congress in CD4 here in Arizona. And I have supported him ever since the first time I heard him talk. I just believe in his mission. I believe in his vision. And I believe that he's got the ability to be a great negotiator in DC and go back there with the intent of representing his constituents here in Arizona. So I don't think that he's going to be the type of problem that some of these legislators are that go back to Congress and become an issue with their ego and with their inability to have a conversation with people of the opposite of the opposing party. So that is why I believe in Jerone so much, because he's got the character to go back and do this sort of job. So I'm going to welcome Jerone onto the show right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Really great. Just
Good.
Rushing to get in there.
What?
I was rushing to get in the show.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you for joining us. I was just telling everybody how I've really supported you and believed in you from one of the first times I heard you speak back in 2021 when you were running for Congress then. And that I really feel that you're going to be the person to go back to DC and have the ability to not have the ego and the nonsense that goes on with a lot of these politicians, that you're going to go back there with the vision, with your constituents' hearts and their worries and concerns foremost in your thoughts when you are talking with other people, of other members of Congress. So let my viewers know, Jerone, what inspired you to run?
Well, my love for God and love for my country and love for my family. And I'm the type of guy who grew up around my neighbors, and I would go over and cut their grass. I would do things when I saw the need for my neighbors to, if things were kind of falling apart for them, I would always help them. So I not only love my own family, but I love my neighbor. And when I saw that the evil taking over this country, and I supported President Donald Trump from day one, from the first time he made his announcement, I was with President Donald Trump because he spoke my language, and I saw the sophistry and the misogyny and the hate for America under Obama. I was so disgusted, and really I was afraid for the country. And the man was so smooth and so deceptive, and because he was a black president, no one could speak evil of him. And I noticed the media siding with him, and they never called him out for his wrong. But when President Donald Trump started running, I was there. And I also made it to January 6th when they stole the election from him in 2022 and 2020. And so I wasn't even running for any office, Mary. I was just a concerned citizen. And then I started getting more and more into politics. I started preaching politics from the pulpit. Been a pastor for close to 30 years. I love preaching. And I saw our First Amendment right going away, and the rise of not only anti-Semitism, but the rise of anti-Christianity. The hate for America is real on the left. And if we as pastors and Christians don't stop this now, then we're going to have to deal with the consequences of it later. The censorship here on YouTube and different platforms of social media, that is leading to a silence of Christianity. And if we allow them to tell us who to choose as our president, who to like as our president and political figures, well, then it won't be long before they can tell us who we can worship or not. So that's why I got involved. And I've been fighting and being involved, doing my speeches. Where did I meet you? I met you in Mesa at one of the speaking events there. And that fire that I have, it comes from God, and it's for my brothers and sisters.
Well, and you know, watching you in some of the debates that are happening here in Arizona with the CD4 candidates, what really stands out to me is, you know, the scoffing, the faces, the disregard that a particular candidate has towards you. I really feel like his ego is going to get in the way when he gets back, if he ever would get back to DC. His ego is going to get in the way because you and I really don't matter to him. It's all about him and
Right.
and how he perceives himself or how he thinks everybody in the audience is perceiving himself. And he has to make sure that he is trying to convince everybody that he's better than everybody else. We got enough politicians like that in this world.
Right.
You know?
I noticed that his supporters always ask the question, what are your qualifications?
Right.
What are your qualifications to run for Congress? Well, the qualifications is laid out in the Constitution. It's very simple. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 2, that you have to be at least 25 years old, that you have to be a citizen of the United States, and you have to live in the state in which you are elected. There you go. There's the 3 qualifications. That's what the Constitution is saying that, and I meet those qualifications easily. But let's talk about likability and experience. Are you a likable candidate? Do you connect with the people? Do you disconnect from the people?
Yes.
Do you treat yourself as an elite because of your profile of things that you've done? Or is there a brotherhood? And a lot of times these candidates can't make that connection, that they already have an elitist mentality. And if they get to Washington, that elitist mentality is going to grow and become more magnificently great and bigger. And before you know it, they're not going to be voting for the American people. So I give my constituents here in CD4 4 promises. Number 1, every year I'll voluntarily show my tax returns. Number 2, I won't make a major vote without consulting the LD chairs, which give the PCs a voice in Washington. Number 3, I'm going to fundraise. And number 4, I'm going to recruit PCs. That's my vision for CD4. And nobody else is making those promises.
No, and that's important, you know, because you're connecting on a grassroots level. And that is the movement that I'm seeing take place right now. You know, even with these RNC delegates, you know, that we had that were voted on at our meeting here in Maricopa County, you had 6 people trying to challenge those delegates, saying they're going to go back there and they're going to do questionable things, and they're not 100% Trump supporters. But in reality, it's those challengers who were the people in question, the people who are trying to suppress the grassroots movement, and the people who are trying to have the voice. And that's frustrating to people. As I'm out door knocking and engaging with people, that's frustrating to people that they don't feel like they have a representative who truly is their voice. It's an agenda that this politician has decided to take to DC or to take to the Capitol in Arizona and just work on their own agenda, and who cares about the people. So, you know, we've got to really be careful about these people who are running for office and who want to take control of things. It's just like the situation with the Senate race here in Arizona. You know, and what I tell people, because I am a firm supporter of Sheriff Lambs. I have been since the day that he stepped up to go. It's unfortunate that Kerry got into the race after the fact, but I've been a solid supporter of Sheriff Lambs, and he is another man who I feel can go to Washington like you and have the personality and not have the ego that would prevent you from doing your job. And listen, folks, it's okay to support President Trump, but not support everybody that he has endorsed. Because guess what, folks? He's gotten it wrong on a lot of cases. On a lot of situations, he's gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
And we have
He's done that across the country. And it's not even him. It's his cabinet. It's the people that are around him that are helping him make these endorsements. And a lot of these endorsements come with money for them, not with Trump. I don't think President Donald Trump knows that some of this stuff is pay for play with the people that is in his cabinet around him. They're making the money.
Yes.
And so they highly tout these people who are really unelectable according to the grassroots people. You know, I remember, you know, in the Senate race here a couple of years ago, he endorsed Blake, and that really made a lot of people upset. So, you know, sometimes it's best to just stay out of it and let people duke it out. But what are we up against here? We have a lot of anti-Trumpers who have infiltrated the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again movement. They are anti-Trumpers. I have two of them in my race. One of them, who won the primary 2 years ago, was endorsed by President Donald Trump and buried it because he didn't want Trump's endorsement. And I'm telling you, these people do not like President Donald Trump. What did we learn, ladies and gentlemen, from President Donald Trump's presidency? That he had the House, he had the Senate, but he couldn't even get the finances to build the wall because he had a lot of folks who disliked him and they did not want to see the America First agenda go forward. Now, this time around, if we're going to save our country and get our country back on course and recover from this inflation falling, recover from this open border, and get our country going again and save it for our children and grandchildren, well, then we have to be very prudent and wise when it comes to selecting the people who are going to be in Washington's House and in the Senate that is going to be there for President Donald Trump. Okay, let me give you a good example. If a candidate on their social media is not standing up for President Donald Trump in the midst of this lawfare and unfairness, well, then that is not the person that you want to send to Congress. But if, on the other hand, you look on my social media, and for the last 6 years, 7 years, you see me fighting against the media, fighting against the Black community, fighting against different ones that have attacked President Donald Trump unfairly, well, then that should let you know that that person is a legitimate person that will stand with President Donald Trump's America First agenda. For example, when Mike Pence, when everybody was asking him to send back those electors to the states, I knew he wasn't going to do it. How did I know that? Because when I looked on his social media, on his Twitter account, he said nothing in defense of President Donald Trump. Right. He did not say one word, not one tweet. And I said, everybody, I think we're in a lot of trouble. We're thinking that Mike Pence is going to do the right thing, and he's not, because he hasn't stood up one time for President Donald Trump and all of this unfairness.
Absolutely. You know, and it's amazing to me, the process that actually goes through, because I was down with President Trump the latter part of 2021 and had a face-to-face with him. Of course, you know, I worked with him throughout his administration as the founder of Angel Moms and Angel Families, but I had a face-to-face with him down in Florence, and I said, I need your endorsement. I'm running for Arizona State Rep. This was for the 2022 cycle. And he called one of his aides over and he said, get her business card, get her endorsement out ASAP. I never got it, Jerone. Went online, filled out the whole thing, but it goes through a process. And those people who are doing the process of giving out the endorsements, and I know one of the women involved in it is very anti-Trump. She was pro DeSantis, and why Trump brought her on the team is beyond me. But she is the one making the decisions of who will get the endorsements and who won't. So wow. It's completely out of his hands, even though he vocally said it to me, get it done, get it out as soon as possible. I'm sure that there's protocol and they've got to go through that office and say, here, release this endorsement. And that person just axed it because, you know, they've got other ideas in their mind. They don't want the people that they know are going to stand up for the Make America Great Again, Make America Safe Again. And they don't want those people put in place. And I don't know if you're facing this, but here in Arizona, there's a push right now with a lot of the lobbyists, you know, who are going against the strong conservative candidates. And, you know, there's one lobbyist in particular who I believe he is a lobbyist not only for the Arizona Police Association, but the Arizona Association of Realtors. And I have been a realtor for 42 years, Jerone. And that the Arizona Association of Realtors endorsed my, she's running for a Republican seat also, but she has absolutely she's never been a realtor. She has no experience in the real estate world. You have the Arizona Association of Police, who is not endorsing Rob Scantlebury, who's a 27-year police veteran in Mesa, Arizona. his Democratic opponent. What is up with this crap that's going on with these people who are trying to sway the voters?
It's a lot of money going on. There's a lot of money, a lot of money out there. And the money is being handed to those folks who have anti-Trump and anti-America sentiments. And if they're descending against Trump and again descending against America, and if they view us as smelly Walmart shoppers, people who cling to their Bibles and their guns, if they see us as deplorables, well, then they're the ones who get the position. They get the tout. They're the ones who get the establishment behind them with the hundreds of thousands and the millions of dollars. But I want to say to those that are viewing today that you must take action and help some people like Marianne, Robert Scandalberry, and myself overcome the establishment. And we have to send them a strong message in this election cycle. We have to send them the message telling them that we, the people, are the ones who select and elect the people that we want in office, not you. No matter how much money you spend, no matter how many commercials you put out there, we know who we want, and we're going to get behind them. We're going to knock doors. We're going to make phone calls. We're going to do meet and greets, do fundraisers, to do what we can to get the people's attention on the best candidate, the best America First candidate who is going to listen to the will of the people. And that's what we have to do. We can't do it by ourselves, Marianne. You know, no matter how many doors you knock on, you're just one person, right? You can probably hit 30, 35 doors a day. It depends on the conversation with the people at the door. Sometimes you get to a door and you have a long conversation with somebody, and you can't move on. But if we had more grassroots people out here taking a part in our elections, then we can get the job done. But we have to do it this time.
Exactly. And I don't know if you saw, Stephen Richter he's on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, Maricopa County Recorder's Office, and Board of Supervisors, really. But he was endorsed by former Republican Governor Doug Ducey of Arizona, former Arizona Republican Governor Jan Brewer. And there was just an interview that he did quickly, and I saw it last night on social media and I posted it, that he said they were asking him, who'd you vote for in 2020? And he said Trump. And the reporter asked Stephen Richter, the Republican, who are you voting for in 2024? He said Biden. This, Jerone, is why these lobbyists and why these former politicians are endorsing people like this, because they are anti-Trump and they know these people aren't going to be voting for Trump. You are 100% right. And that is the evil that is happening, because they are doing things to confuse voters even more than they already are in this messed up world that we live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. So Stephen Richter is he attacked one of our ladies, Shelby Bush.
Right.
He has a video out there on her saying that she was so upset with him the way he was conducting the election. She said that she would lynch him if he came into the room, and everybody on social media is going crazy over the word lynching. But I've reached out to Richard on his platform there on Twitter, and I said, don't do that, man. Don't act like that was a racial slur against you. Nobody knew that you were a Jew, and frankly, no one cared.
Right.
That word lynching is synonymous with my race, and you're not black. So don't make it out as if she was attacking you in some type of racial way. It was a word that she used. I mean, I wish she would have selected another word, but they got that and using that as ammunition. But Shelby Bush is an excellent young lady. She's a fighter. She's a worker. Her family's highly involved in the MAGA movement. She's pro-Trump. And she's actually one of the people that you was mentioning who was being attacked and challenged by the anti-Trumpers before they go to Milwaukee next month, because every one of them have vowed to say that we're voting Trump bound every round. They're going to vote Trump every time. So Trump is going to be our rep here in Arizona. He's going to be repped well. They're going to vote him in, and he's going to be the rep for Arizona. But they don't want that. The anti-Trumpers don't want that, and so they're challenging them. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got to wake up, and we really have to pay attention.
And these challengers have flipped the story to the media to make it look like the people that they're challenging are the ones who are going to going to do this Never Trump stuff. It's the
Yeah.
actual people who are the challengers. I had a call from a very good friend in Pennsylvania who's going to the convention. She's a delegate, and she was asking me all these questions about what's going on here with all of this. And I had to set her straight because I said, I know several of the delegates that they're challenging. I know them personally, and they would never, ever vote against President Trump. That is what the 6 challengers want to be put in place for.
Right.
Is to
I know all of them. I have known them for the past 6, 7 years, and every one of them are strong, strong Trumpers.
Yes.
And I trust each one of them to do what's right. So when they challenged them, I was like, what's going on here? But see, that's the nature of darkness and evil. They will accuse you of doing the things that they're doing.
Right. Right. So how is your campaign gearing up now, right before the, because we're just a little over 30 days till our primary. Our primary here is July 30th in Arizona. What do you need? How can viewers help? What is the most important thing to you right now? The 3 most important things to you that people can do to help your campaign, Jerome?
Well, donate. We're at the, we want to finish strong. So that means we have to pay for text. We have to pay for email blasts. We have to pay for material to go to the door-to-door. And on Saturday, June 29th, my team and I are going to go out and knock doors, and we're looking for volunteers to join us. We're going to start at 7 a.m. And we're going to go out there give each one of you a pamphlet that has at least 100 flyers in it. And then we need you to do that. And then we need people to make phone calls and do some texts. But that's it. You know, maybe donate, go out and knock doors with us. My email is Team Davidson at JeroneDavidson.com. Team Davidson at JeroneDavidson.com. Good to see you, brother.
And it's Davison. It's not Davidson, it's Davison.
Yeah, so both my first and last name is always misspelled. So make sure you spell it correctly. It's right. Davison, Davison. And here's my website. It's Jerone, spelled with an N, Jerone, the word for Congress.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to represent you. I promise to represent you well, show you my taxes every year, not make a major vote on the floor without consenting the local chairs. Fundraise, and then I'll do some recruiting. And I want to do the recruiting of young Republicans, young youth, young adults.
Let me ask you something. What do you think that this debate this Thursday night is going to be like, Jerome?
It's going to be what it's been before. It's going to be one-sided. They're going to try to use it to benefit Joe Biden. He's going to be hyped up on some type of medication. It might even be cocaine. I don't even know. You know, they found some of that in the White House recently. And so he's going to be hyped up. And here's the deal. If I was President Donald Trump, a good strategy is to come out and say, oh, he's going to do well. He's going to be great. I believe he's going to be energized, right? Because if he continues to say that he is like, he's not there, he's mentally slipping and all that kind of stuff, well, then if he comes out and performs above that slightly, well, then that's going to give them the edge. It's going to look like he's won, because everybody's saying Joe is gone. He's mentally slipping. He can't do it. So if I was President Trump, I'd say, hey, I'm expecting him to do well. I'm expecting him to come out and remember the things. So I'm looking forward to debating the highly intelligent Joe Biden, because I want him to defend his platform. Now, so now set the expectations well. You set them, and now let's see if he can rise up to meet them. But I do expect the media to come out and say after the debate, I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in the debate at all. You know what? The debate happened in Trump's first 4 years, and the debate happened in Biden's 4 years. That's it. Compare those two. End of story. It's over.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. But, I was really surprised last night because I was watching TV pretty late, and I was watching the Food Network, and I could not believe how many Biden commercials were on there. And they and they have him seeming so with it.
Yes.
It's like man, he must have had about 50, B12 shots or something.
Right.
Whatever kind of shots
What?
he's having before they did these takes,
Yeah.
because so they're pushing it hard. They're going to make big issues. But another thing that came to light this morning with me, I don't know if you saw all these protests and things that were happening over in California, where they were around a mosque, and they were beating up not a mosque, but they were beating up Jewish people. And they had kicked this one woman to the ground and were beating her up and everything. And the cops showed up and they arrested one person. And now it's come out in the news that they're not going to charge any of these people with anything. But the flip side, the comparison on the split screen to that is the 75-year-old grandmother in a MAGA hat outside an abortion clinic praying very peacefully, not touching anybody, is arrested and put in jail for what, 2 years?
This is what I'm saying at the beginning of this interview, that there is not only an anti-Semite agenda, that there's an anti-Christian agenda happening in this country. And it's very serious. These people are communists. The Democrats aren't Democrats anymore. They are communists. And you need people like me and Mary to go in there and fight against this thing and uphold the policies and enforce policies that are freedom of religion, freedom of rights of speech, freedom of rights of religion, and freedom to move around, because they're trying to establish these 15-minute cities that will limit your mobility as a citizen. This stuff is very serious, but people just scoff at it. But we told people that the vaccines are dangerous to take. Now the doctors come around and say, oh yeah, we knew that it was going to harm people, and we knew that it had this, and we knew that it wasn't going to protect people. But we were the conspiracy theorists who was dangerous and all of that kind of stuff. And they haven't turned around and apologized to us. And the people haven't woke up and said, you know what? The people that they're calling all of these names and violent and hurtful to the country are the ones who were trying to protect us and our loved ones from this dangerous shot. Now, how many Americans have lost their loved ones suddenly to heart problems and all kinds of disease and locked into a hospital because they got that vaccine? Okay, but the media is not going to apologize for that. And when I get to Congress, trust me, my Internet Bill of Rights is going to enforce these people. And that we need to do a media thing, turn the media around and stop them from doing this. They should be held liable for the lies that they continue to perpetuate on the American people. This is like warfare against the American people. You're lying to the people. You're not telling them the truth. And I cringe every time these people roll Joe Biden out. He's an empty shell of a person, right?
Yeah.
And I say to myself, the people who are telling us to vote for Joe Biden must really hate this country.
I know.
Because this is the person they want to run the country. How is it possible for this man to sit at a table with world leaders and negotiate for the betterment of our country? The American dollar is in trouble, right? Because you have China and Russia and different countries that are stepping away from the American dollar, and it is getting ready to plummet. Unless we have someone in there who is able to negotiate for the future of America and our dollar, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yes, and I've asked people lately who kind of hemming and hawing, you can tell that they're Biden supporters. I ask them, would you ever get in a vehicle that Joe Biden was driving? Even
that's a great question.
And
that's a great question.
No, and I said, then why would you want him to lead the country?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a no-brainer,
Right.
And then you have the White House spokesperson saying, these are just all fabricated, manipulated videos that you're seeing. Oh, okay, so we didn't see him trip up.
Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't believe your lying. I'm expecting them to come out with some Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's going to come out with Let's Groove Tonight. And he's going to have his glasses on, and he's going to have his watermelon and picnicking around a bunch of black people and stuff like that. But he's losing the black vote. And listen, you heard it from me. I'm a black guy. I believe 40% of the black vote is going to go to President Donald Trump in this election. So it's going to be a landslide, even with their cheating. So I love what President Donald Trump said. Let's make it too big to rig.
Right. But this one world government movement is so big, Jerone, You know, this is what I was pondering last night as I'm trying to go to sleep when, you know, this is why I don't sleep at night. But this one world government thing is so big and so powerful. And so much of it is underground that we don't even know the players that are really involved in it.
Yes.
Why are they going to allow a Trump win? And I say that allow because they are in charge of the elections too. So
Well,
why do you think
it's
they're
so
going to
many of us, Marianne. Marianne, it's so many of us, and they can't deal with the numbers, right? So, and the more people wake up, you're seeing Hispanic people, you're seeing Black people. All of these people are rising up and saying, we're voting for Trump. We're tired of this. Well, you have hundreds of millions of people in this country. And I would say close to 200 million are going to be voting for President Donald, at least 120 million. So what do you do with that? You're going to have to let the will of the people come forth, or else you're going to have some type of retaliation. And I'm not saying, and I'm not promoting violence, but there's going to be an uprising in this country if they see another stolen election.
Right.
So they're going to have to go through with it. But what I've been noticing the media is doing, and to bring these former CIA guys, these former FBI directors on, and they're already starting to prepare themselves for a Trump victory. And they're talking about stuff like, oh, we have to make sure that his power is limited. We have to make sure that his power. So they know that the will of the people are going to have to prevail, or they would have an uprising. So they're already trying to lay the landmines to limit President Donald Trump's power, because they're saying he's coming for revenge. He wants revenge. Well, basically, you're telling off on yourself. A person who wants revenge is from people who have unrighteously attacked them. But President Donald Trump said he's not going to do it. Well, I told President Donald Trump, step aside, sir. Because when I get to Congress, I'm coming for revenge, right? Because we have to uphold the law.
Yes.
We have to uphold the law. And if the law isn't in force, it's going to embolden these lawless people to do it again. And we want to make sure that they don't have a mindset to do it again.
Right. And, you know, like I've said before, I think with you is, you know, January 6th was a complete lesson to be learned by anybody who's going to stand up and say anything, because we're still having people arrested today. You know, 3 years later, they're still coming after people and arresting them. FBI is still visiting them at their house. But the American people need to understand that you're absolutely right in the numbers. And when we're united and we're not divided, and this is their exact plans to divide us, because you could divide and conquer much more than you could do anything about a united country and a united people. So anyway, I thank you for coming on today, Jerone, and taking the time out of your busy campaign day. I know it's crazy out there. Stay hydrated, and because it's really, really hot here. But folks, this is a guy to get the job done in CD4 in Arizona. You know, if you know that he's going to be speaking anywhere in your community here in Arizona, and you see that he's going to be at some club or event or a home meeting, get out, go hear him speak, meet him personally, and you will feel the passion that I do about knowing that Jerone is the guy for the job. So, Jerone, thank you for coming on today. I truly appreciate your time, and I appreciate your passion, and I'm looking forward to you representing me in DC.
Yes, we need this. We're going to get this victory in the seat, and I think it's going to be a historic victory.
Yes.
I think we've never had a Black representative in Arizona, especially not in CD4. So we're going to do that. But I mean, I know patriots, we don't pay attention to the color thing, but you know what? History is history.
Right.
And so we're getting ready to make history together. So everybody, let's get out there, knock some doors, make some phone calls, and ask Arizona to vote Jerone Davidson for Congress. We're going to send a shockwave through the establishment, because they're betting against us. They're betting against us. But let me tell you something. I've won 3 out of 4 straw polls. I've won 2 televised debates, and the word is getting around. And I tell you what, every time I go to these places, the numbers are big for me. They're taking my signs. I can't take enough signs into a building. I just went to Leisure World last night. All of my signs were gone. I had to go out to my car and grab some more. Nice. So it's looking good. So let's go. Let's make it happen. JeroneForCongress.com. Thank you, Marianne. Mark Sid says hello to you. He's here in my place right now. He's right over here. He says hello. Hi. Thank you, Marianne. God bless.
Talk to you later.
Let everybody, let's vote Marianne. Let's get her in there as well.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, Bella thinks because I said goodbye to my guest that I'm saying goodbye to my podcast, and she's wrong. Bella, it's not over with yet. So it's not over with yet. So what get her to settle down here. So anyway, yesterday we had a temporary election worker here at the Maricopa County Elections Office who was arrested for getting a what was it? A tabulator. Hold on a second, because I'm going to pull up this article. It's like absolute insanity that this is already happening in Arizona. That isn't it. Hold on a second. Oh, I got to find the right. There's like a meme, but I want to find the right article because it actually spells more out in the article to where I can tell you more about this situation. Hold on a second. Is this it? I believe it is. All right. So we're already having shenanigans here in Maricopa County. We've got some temporary so surveillance footage at the Maricopa County election building captured an election worker stealing a security fob and access keys. All equipment in the building now have to be reprogrammed because of the two simple items give access to the entire election system. Sorry. Election officials told police the security operation of the facility is greatly impeded until the reprogramming is complete. The security fobs are used to enter tablets used during the election, and because the fob wasn't recovered by police from the suspect, all equipment, including voting machines, have to be reprogrammed, which will cost over $20,000. Who knew all you needed to get into Maricopa County's election system was a security fob? I thought voting machines were inaccessible by anyone from the outside. And as always, Maricopa County and other Arizona counties lie for a living. And you've got all kinds of comments. Why are they still using their machines? There's zero reasons to use them for voting. They are not secure from fraudsters. They're not reliable for counting. They're worthless, and the public can't trust the results they produce. Here's an interesting question. Most important questions. How did this guy know what to steal, and who was he stealing it for? Good question. How did he know that a security fob and access keys were what he needed to get a hold of, right? So this has already put the doubt in Arizona voter minds as this is going on here in Maricopa County. And, you've got Stephen Richer, who is in charge of the elections there at the Maricopa County Election Center, who is a never Trumper. And now he's being endorsed by all these former high Republican elected officials here in Arizona because they know that he's a never Trumper. And so they know that he will do their bidding if they so need him to do that down at the election center here in Maricopa County. It's all so intertwined and disgusting and sick what they are doing to basically make we the people's will and their votes not count and not matter anymore. It has everything to do with the people in power, the people who have the money, the people who have the influence. And if you've got enough money, you can pay these type of men like that one who's a temporary election worker to go in and do their bidding, right? And I'm not going to be surprised if perhaps surveillance footage and surveillance cameras will be going down in certain areas because it is their desire and their hope that things will be stolen and things will be manipulated, and the outcome will be the outcome that the one world order people want to happen here in the United States. So folks, you got to just keep on praying. You got to step up. You got to get out there and vote. You got to support the good candidates who you know are going to make a difference. And I want to make sure that all of you understand, as Jerone and I were talking about, this whole big thing about the electors. So what happened was you had the meeting in, I think it was 3 months ago, probably 3 months ago, where the Arizona Republicans all met in the state of Arizona, and they voted on what they call electors, who were going to go back to the Republican National Convention next month in Milwaukee. And they are the ones who formally nominate President Trump as a Republican nominee for president for 2024 election. And so there is a power broker type group of people here in Arizona who, they thought that they were a shoo-in to be elected because they're well known. They're in with the precinct committee men and women. They are members at large. They get in and they get voted into all of these positions. They maneuver the candidates around for speaking engagements and stuff here during an election cycle. And so they're the people who thought that they were a shoo-in. Well, what they had no clue about was the grassroots movement here in Arizona was working behind the scenes for representatives and delegates to be elected to go back to the convention, who were actually delegates who are pro-Trumpers 100%, and who represent the people, who are part of you and I, we the people. And those 6 grassroots candidates won the position of delegate to go back to the convention. Well, the other 6 were so upset that they started challenging those 6 delegates and saying they're never going to vote for Trump. If it goes to a second round, they're going to try and put somebody else in there because they're going to say that President Trump is a convicted felon. And of course, if whatever happens on July 11th, if he's put in jail or whatever, these people are not going to be voting for Trump. And they even tried to get the RNC involved in it, in not only in Arizona, but in several other states, I think in Georgia, Michigan, somewhere else. Because I had my friend who's a delegate from Pennsylvania call me yesterday. I don't think that they're questioning the delegates in Pennsylvania. But anyway, these 6 people who are challenging the electors here in Arizona are the ones that you should have a question mark behind their name with. So I stand firmly behind the 6 delegates. I know many of them personally, and I know this isn't what they will do. They are 100% Trump supporters. And so when you start seeing things like Governor Jan Brewer and Doug Ducey endorsing Stephen Richer, and then hear him say, I can't even believe that he admitted it on camera, that he's voting for Biden in 2024. Now things are starting to make sense, right? And there's people who were involved in politics and stepping up like they were pro-Trump people, but it was a way for them to get their foot in the door to fool and to take cover with the pro-Trump people here in Arizona. And they do that in every single state. They have people infiltrate the MAGA movement. And I'll never understand why MAGA, or Make America Great Again, is something that is viewed as anti-American. Make America Great Again. How could anybody view that as anything but face value of the words? Make America safe again. Make America secure again. Make America financially stable again. Make America oil independent again. I mean, why is that a bad thing? Because the world powers, the one world order people don't want America great again. And this is going to go off a little in Wackyville, but I had this big not podcast, but it was kind of like just a video that was done. Well, actually, it was a podcast, and this woman had worked for the government and was involved in a lot of the contracts for building government facilities across the United States. So she was involved in the bidding process and gathering all the contracts and going through them and deciding who was going to be awarded contracts. And she was saying that she's been looking into some of the records that are going on right now, and she's a little concerned because all 50 states at this point, and I got to look into this further, but she said in every state of the nation right now, they are building an illegal alien retention center, basically. That these big contracts have gone out and it's big money, and they're building these facilities in every single state. But she said what's funny is that the beds are empty in most of these retention centers and holding facilities because they aren't holding on to the illegals anymore. They're letting them go into the communities. So she said all of these facilities are empty, and yet the government is spending more money building more facilities. And they showed some aerial views of some of them. I mean, it's those big tent things. I mean, they're framed, they're weather resistant, those type of things, big heavy tent type situations. But there's also buildings that they've put up. And one of the big things that she's concerned about is if this election doesn't go the way that the American people want it to go, that they've built up these facilities in order to house domestic terrorists, is what they're going to start calling people. And this is a big question mark that she's put out and a concern that she's put out. She's looking into it a little bit more to actually see what's at the bottom of it. I'm going to keep track of that podcast, that guy, and go back in and listen to it. And then I'll share it with you in the coming weeks once I've been able to find something out. But anyway, so the debate this Thursday, I was just hearing on the news this morning that, of course, Biden is completely holed up in wherever, at the White House or at Camp David. I think at Camp David, getting prepared for the debate. I want to show you this meme that a friend sent me this morning. Cracked up when I saw it. Actually, it's an article. I'm going to share it with you. Give you a good laugh for the day. President Trump preps for debate against Biden by going to nursing home and arguing with dementia patients. It's a Babylon Bee, so I mean it's satire, but I thought, how hilarious is that? The Trump campaign announced Monday that the former president had begun preparing for his upcoming debate with Joe Biden by visiting nursing homes and arguing with dementia patients. George, you're wrong about lime jello. Nobody likes it, Trump said as he argued with a 94-year-old dementia patient who claims to be constantly observed by Russian spies. It doesn't taste good. Everyone's telling me all the time how much they hate it, and you're telling me that they serve it every day. On day one, I will ban lime jello, and Mexico will pay for it. Anyway, I just thought that you would enjoy that funny little laugh because we don't get enough of those, right? And Laura, praying for a swift recovery for you. She just joined us. She's recovering from surgery. So prayers. Anyway, the debate, we've got unfortunately our legislative district meeting that night. And we were saying, are we going to have a watch party? But everybody was saying, no, everybody here would rather hear from the local candidates, because we already know who we're voting for. And I get it. I mean, obviously I'm voting for Trump, but I still like to watch, for entertainment purposes. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Jake Tapper and whatever that other lady's name is called from the liberal media. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle him, handle Trump, if they're giving all the softball questions to Biden and being kind of contrary when they're asking Trump some questions. So that's going to be the night. Thursday I only do podcast Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'll have to wait until the following Tuesday to be able to talk about it on my podcast, and it'll be old news by then. So it probably won't even be a topic of conversation. But anyway, I am, I've lost my complete train of thought. It's one of those mornings, folks. I keep thinking about things that I should have discussed with Jerone. You know how your mind does that when you're in the middle of something. And I wanted to tell you this is a Mark Lamb shirt. Sheriff Mark Lamb. God, family, freedom, end of discussion. He has a fallen officer flag on one arm, and Mark Lamb for Senate for Arizona. That is who I am supporting here in the state of Arizona, is Mark Lamb. I feel like he's got the knowledge of the border. He's got the knowledge as a law enforcement officer, and I wanted to talk about, a lot of people have heard about how Kari Lake called Mark Lamb a coward on their little debate forum thing that they had online. And it really got spread like wildfire, and a bunch of people, you're a coward. You did nothing about election integrity. I want to just reaffirm with my viewers that President Trump and Kari Lake both won in Pinal County, and Mark Lamb is the sheriff of Pinal County. So she had no issues with Pinal County. There were some issues at some of the polling places in Pinal County that they ran out of ballots and they had to get more of them, and it was going to take hours in order to get to some of the remote locations. But the outcome was President Trump and Kari Lake both won in Pinal County. Now, for her to call him a coward for doing nothing about election integrity, number one, Mark Lamb has no jurisdiction over Maricopa County. And so it would have to be the Maricopa County sheriff who would take over any of that information that the Kari Lake campaign would have provided to the sheriff. Well, the sheriff in Maricopa County is Democrat, so they weren't going to do anything about it. But on the flip side of that, none of that information was gotten to Mark Lamb for him to be able to even forward it to somebody else in Maricopa County to see what they could do. There's local police departments that the Kari Lake campaign could have gone to also, the attorneys and anybody who had election fraud information. If it was happening in Phoenix, where the election center is, election board, where Stephen Richards' office is, they could have taken it to the chief of police there in Phoenix. But, and again, that's a Democrat. So, it was a pretty tough situation. But for her to stand there and call him a coward was the absolute wrong thing for her to do. And that's what I'm afraid of with her going to DC, is that she's going to let her ego take over, and it's not going to be about getting the job done. And also, I wanted to tell you, I've been backing up Mark Lamb since day one when he decided he was running for Senate. And by the way, he did that at the encouragement of Kari Lake. She encouraged him to run for Senate. And then I don't know if it was the fact that she didn't know she was going to be the pick for VP or wasn't going to be on the list for vice president, that she decided that she was going to jump in the race for Senate, and jumped in the race many, many, many months after Mark Lamb had already been campaigning. So it's all a little wishy-washy, and I'm a staunch supporter of Mark Lamb's, and that's where my support's going to end up till the end. And if any of you need We've got a golden ticket put together here in LD9, which is West Mesa, and it does have our ideas of our research that we've done as far as some of the other state offices too. So if any of you need any help, please reach out to me here in the comments, and I'll be happy to get that information to you. Or go to the Angel Families Facebook page and send me a message. And I will be back tomorrow, and I will see you all then. And Bella says goodbye too.